Well, I believe more in a protected Canada. I'm also socialist. I believe in a downfall of consumerism. Our system is too focused on the Western ideologies. You look at Germany, they can pay for their schooling. They still spend resources, but they have it more industrialized. They've got their trading set out properly. They're not all that dependent on China. They're able to trade resources for resources. Here we treat ourselves like a mining colony. How we're able to export these resources, refine them, and sell them off refined. We should be able to not sell off the resources, but produce some of our own. Make the unions back up, like how the states had 90% tax. Build it up again. Start building more factories. And some say, well, this isn't right. You can't go and create these factories again. It's not the old times. But it can be. This worked before. We have the land. We have the power. Cut off immigration for a bit. I'm not mean to the world. I'm just saying we've got to get our problems straight. Start making industrialism. Enhance the smaller places. Maybe make a bargaining system for deer and certain other things in only some small towns so we still have it regulated. Have the barter system out there, make it a bit better for the people in the small towns. Make that generate profit for gourmet restaurants, so on. They get great food that nobody else in the world usually goes out and looks for. That's great for so many recipes in gourmet restaurants. We can fix out a lot of things, and it's such a large scale. It's monumental. I'm a quixotic learner. It takes a lot for me to take it in, but it's so large you can only write about the task, the grandiose task of how much we've messed up our system from the past, how it used to be when the states had 90% tax. GM wasn't laying off their workers. They were working with the unions. They were making proper money. This was all just after Edward Bernays started up consumerism, but he created a land ball that consumerism was too strong. He did something right, but he did it too dramatically. Edward Bernays was the creator of, well, as we call now, pretty much consumerism. He even got half the smoking population back, the females, by making some models go out there, paid them, and he made them say they were revolting against pretty much, hey guys, they called them dicks, like pretty much penises. They're like, yeah, they're going out there revolting against guys. This sounds crazy, but this was like the 20s, like after, kind of 30s, around 20s, 30s, just after World War II, because they wanted to keep up the productivity, because now they've got less people smoking, they aren't all in the trenches. Drinking was high, way too much drinking, but that was normal because of the depression that comes after something like that. But if we could go back to those smaller terms, the when it started, but a bit after, like around probably the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, when GM was doing well, other industries weren't being cut off, weren't being sent to China for cheaper labor. They actually cared about their people, paid them well so they could come back and pay again. Eventually, certain bankers like the Greenwalds made it all about short-term profit. They corrupted people like George Bush. Ronald Reagan even had a finance minister that made him get more money like a star, like he was in the movies. Started basing it more on the quick change, lay off the workers, make the quick money. What that did was hurt our industry. That quick money made it stimulated the economy for a time, but only so long. Now we're falling, we're burning as fast as them, and we can't let this happen. The way that we treat ourselves like a mining colony, exporting after refining these resources cannot work. It's a right-wing way of looking at life. It does work for a time, but it can only last so long. Although it's working beautifully now, it could last another 100 years, but we don't want to do that. We want to make it last another 400 years. We still have a generation. Germany's overpopulated as it can be, but they have the industries. They're built up enough that they're able to survive. I believe this is a major thing. They pay their workers well. They've got tax up the roof, but they're able to make free schooling because of it. If we had stuff like this, we'd be able to run our place properly. It's not about It's not about the capitalism and like it's not about the capitalism. It's the way that people are thinking now. More of the way, well, we can privatize this. We can make the better schooling more privatized based on the money you get in there because it's worth it.
Well, I need a school because there's no job.
That too. Well, jobs are a problem too, and that's why you have to build up in industry and so on. And then the people get the free schooling that they need. So although there may not be that many jobs, at least they have the schooling that's needed to go to another country. Let's say that. Get out of Canada because they've got the schooling and the credentials. Go somewhere where it's poor. We can't do that here because so much schooling is worth money, and they teach their kids not so many other ways, but one way because they're too focused on getting them out like a system. Teachers may sit down and have an intellectual conversation with their students, but since there's so many, it's kind of hard to do. Even with some universities I've seen, like, I kind of wish it was smaller classes. And the way that they teach could be a bit better, in my perspective. And yeah, that's all I have to say is probably get taxes back up and change the world. I don't want to go on too long of a rant. It's way too long.